2008's The Incredible Hulk is in fact part of the MCU, even though Ed Norton was ultimately replaced by Mark Ruffalo. But in the years since then, we've learned that Norton was originally signed up for a 2-film deal, and The Avengers wasn't the second one. The plan was to actually do a proper sequel with a very specific character arc for Bruce Banner. I'm Greg Elliott with Screen Rant, and here's everything we know about Edward Norton's scrap plans for The Incredible Hulk 2.
Do you remember anything?
Just fragments, images. There's too much noise. I can never derive anything out of it.
When Norton first got involved with the Hulk in 2007, it wasn't just as an actor, but since writer Zach Penn had left the project to work on The Grand, it was to work on the script as well. Norton had grown up loving Hulk comics, and he wanted to do something, quote, long, dark, and serious with it, like Christopher Nolan had recently done with Batman, which might seem like an odd fit for the MCU, but back then, Marvel hadn't really developed its signature style quite yet.
You always wear such nice suits.
I hear you have an unusual problem.
The movie's post-credits scene makes it sound like Marvel might have been thinking about making Hulk the bad guy in the Avengers, and the actual ending of the film is purposefully ambiguous. You could see it as Bruce either succeeding or failing to keep the monster at bay, so they would have at least had the flexibility to go in either direction when they figured out what they wanted to do as a follow-up. According to a recent interview with the New York Times, Norton's plan after the origin story was to show Bruce as, quote, the conscious dreamer who had finally come to terms with who he was and who could handle the trip, as he put it. There are hints of this in the first film, so in the sequel, he would have presumably figured out how to not lose himself when turning into the Hulk and experience it kind of like a lucid dream with some degree of control.
Me in a metal tube deep underground with hundreds of people in the most aggressive city in the world?
Right. Let's get a cab.
Betty Ann Thunderbolt Ross would have likely returned for Hulk 2, and Tim Blake Nelson has confirmed that he did initially sign on for 2 sequels, so the leader, who has totally disappeared from the MCU since, would have probably been the second film's big bad. Ty Burrell did admit that the first film, quote, laid fertile soil for a friendship/enemy situation with Bruce, so it would have been easy for Doc Samson to return as well. So where did it all go wrong? Well, it's no secret that the relationship between Ed Norton and Marvel wasn't all roses. During the editing of the film, it became clear that his vision was very different from the studio's. They cut a lot of character-focused scenes, and there's apparently as much as 70 minutes of stuff that was cut from the movie. And as we know, Marvel officially parted ways with Norton shortly before they started filming The Avengers.
Para por favor. Eu raiva muito ruim.
So a second solo Hulk film wasn't going to happen with Ed Norton, but it actually won't ever happen with Mark Ruffalo either. And that all comes down to business. When Disney bought Marvel in 2009, they didn't actually get the distribution rights for any Hulk solo films. Those still lie with Universal Studios, and since there's no way that Disney is going to pay for The Incredible Hulk 2 but let Universal profit off the distribution, that's exactly why the Hulk never got another solo film and has only been part of Ensemble Avengers or Thor films since, and maybe the upcoming She-Hulk show. Contrary to previous reports, Norton has since said he had a great time working on the film and got along great with Kevin Feige, but his Bruce Banner days are long gone either way, and people like us at Screen Rant will just have to dream about what might have been in another life. So keep coming back to us to stay in the loop on all things Marvel. I'm Greg Elliott, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.